In Greek mythology, Theseus, the mythical king of the city of Athens, rescued the children of Athens from King Minos after slaying the Minotaur, and then escaped onto a ship going to Delos. Each year, the Athenians would commemorate this by taking the ship on a pilgrimage to Delos to honor Apollo. In between voyages, the ship was stored in a museum. Over time, as boards rotted, they were replaced until no original boards were left. A question was raised by ancient philosophers. If no pieces of the original made up the current ship, was it still the ship of Theseus? The philosopher Thomas Hobbes extended the thought experiment by supposing that a ship custodian gathered up all of the decayed parts of the ship and used them to build a second ship. Which was the original? The ship whose boards have been replaced over time, or the ship of the original reassembled boards? What if Theseus rode a bike instead of sailed a ship? Would adding a modern take on this old paradox give us new answers? Is a bike the same bike if you replace all the components? And what happens when you take all of those old components and reassemble them on a new frame? Is that closer to the original bike than the first bike? You could argue that because the bike frame is not changed, the bike is the original, and the bike made with a new frame and the original parts is indeed a new bike. After all, bikes are named after their frames, not their forks, drivetrain, or wheels. But I would argue that the identity of the bike changes as you change components. A bigger cassette in the rear could make it climb easier. A larger travel fork can make it plow downhill harder. Grippier tires and sturdier wheels can make it corner better. A new set of contact points can make it more comfortable. Making it lighter would make it more responsive and snappier overall. What if you did all these changes? Would you say that the bike rides completely different? Would you say it feels like a brand new bike? I would say so. I would hope so. That's why I replaced all these components in the first place. If Theseus rode a bike instead of sailed a ship, I would imagine the Athenian bike mechanics would have stuffed all the old components in a drawer and eventually put them on a new frame as well. This is what was swirling through my head every time I replaced a component on my Stumpjumper and placed them into a drawer, knowing full well I plan to resurrect them onto a new frame. Eventually, that day came. Wiggle had a Black Friday sale, and I ordered their house brand aluminum hardtail frame along with a dropper post. This would be the Hobbesian bike. The fork, brakes, handlebars, grips, saddle, wheels, and tires were all takeoff parts from the Stumpjumper. The Brand X frame and dropper, the crankset, bottom bracket, and drivetrain were all new parts. I know this isn't quite a one-to-one with the ship of Theseus paradox, but it was enough to make me think about it. After all, would the Athenian shipbuilders be able to use the original nails and fasteners? Surely some parts would have been new in order to reconstruct it. It was enough to make me wonder, which bike rides most similar to the stock Stumpjumper that I purchased? The Stumpjumper now rides more like an enduro bike than a trail bike, stops better with upgraded brakes and soaks up the bumps after I converted it to a long travel 140mm in the rear and 160mm in the front. The lighter wheels and large rear cassette make it pedal faster on the ascents. But does the hardtail feel more like the original Stumpjumper? It stops just like the old one. It handles bumps about the same, even with the rear suspension gone. It grips the ground and pedals the same. I don't think it is, though. It's something completely different. I think while some characteristics are exactly the same, their overall package isn't a one-to-one. Not quite. The ship of Theseus is a paradox, a thought experiment. It doesn't have an answer, or at least a universal one. Its answer is based on feeling. Its answer is unique to each person contemplating it. When it comes to bikes, I think it is unique to each bike and circumstance. What do you guys think? At what point does your bike become a new bike? Which upgrade or group of upgrades change the identity of the bike the most? Let me know.